Greetings, one and all, and welcome to Mornings of Mischief. Oh, I said Mornings of Mischief. Holy shit. 7 Kinds of Mischief. And with us today is, of course, the one and only, the Doctor of Disaster and Destruction, author of Dega Outlaw, and the author of the Creepypasta Stories, Journal of a Psychopath, R.M. Staniforth. Greetings, gentlemen.
Hey, thanks so much.
R.M.
Hey.
Greetings. How are you doing tonight, sir?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on. It's a real privilege.
I got to ask you, how was the process of Purple getting a hold of you, and what did you think?
Oh, so I feel kind of bad, honestly. I hadn't even noticed that. I was in the middle of some training out in the middle of nowhere. I didn't really have service. So by the time I saw that message, it was like a week later. But she messaged me on Reddit, actually. And it's like, live stream, that sounds fun. And then I came over, checked out the channel, and I was like, I've actually heard of this guy before. And so yeah, I was like, yeah, please get me on when you can. I'm interested.
Well, heck yeah, and we got you on here. Greetings to the Wrenching Brothers, Chris Persian, Mark Damply Tired, Purple, Valkyrie, Kronos. Good evening, Kronos. Pat S. Hello, Pat S. Gun Buddy. Welcome, Gun Buddy. Dee Dee Myers. Good evening, sir. Brightest day. How are you doing? Andrew, 46 and 2. Good evening, Wookie in Exile. How are you doing, brother? Jester of Sin. Good evening, Jester of Sin. Guys, thank you so very much for being here. Podracing Palpatine. Guys, you guys are awesome. Thank you so very much. Eris of Chaos. Good evening, Dee Dee Myers. Good evening, Dave G. Sound. Guys, Lady Miss, the Guardian of the Void is here. Naughty Monkey Orath. I know that we have had some problems getting links into the chat. The link for R.M. Staniforth's first story that we read, Journal of a Psychopath, is in the description of this live stream. So if you want to read that story, it is in the description. I will do my best to try and get links out because none of the mods apparently can do that tonight. Here is the creepypasta tag for 4 of his stories. So if you guys want to check those out, they are there. But basically tonight is going to be all about this wonderful writer and how you came up with your stuff. When did you start doing this?
Oh, so I've actually wrote kind of low key since high school, and I've been graduated for over a decade now from high school, but I never thought about sharing it or putting it out until sometime last year. I'd read creepypastas for a while and written kind of on my own sometimes. And one day I was like, you know what? I should submit something. I didn't expect it to be well received as it was. But so I sent it into Creepypasta. It was called A Demon Named Frank. And they put that out there, and I was just amazed at how much feedback I got. So I thought, I can run with this, because it's something I enjoy doing.
And Podracing Palpatine says Loki.
Yeah, Loki.
Where did that idea come from? The demon named Frank.
A demon named Frank. So I don't know if any of you have read that story, but so it's loosely based off true events. Now, obviously, things didn't spiral out of control the way they did in this story, but I actually have a kid, and when he was about 2 to 3 years old, he kept talking about this monster named Frank. And it wasn't like your normal imaginary friend stuff. He'd be like, Dad, can you see the monster over there in the corner? Like, oh yeah, bud, yeah, I can see him. And like, he watches me at night. He would just say the creepiest stuff about this imaginary friend. And it went on for a couple of years before that faded away. And so that was the basis for that story.
That is incredible. And you just decided one day to just write it.
Yeah, write it, and then obviously very much exaggerate it and add a dark and traumatic ending to it. But yeah, the truth is eventually Frank just faded away. But yeah, Frank was a real thing.
Well, you said you started writing in high school. What got you actually, because some people have a love for it and other people can't stand it. What got you Was there any type of inspiration? Did you read because you were more on the macabre side, something like Poe or anything?
I've read a lot of books, especially when I was younger. I wouldn't say there was a single thing that interested me in writing, like a single author at least. It was just something I kind of did for me, not paying attention or just zone out, and it was usually somewhere in a notebook, just write a little story here, a little story there. And yeah, I can't really answer that question specifically.
That's all right. I was just wondering. What's your favorite one so far?
That I've written?
Yeah.
I'd have to say that's a toss-up between A Demon Named Frank, because that was kind of the first one that I put out there for people, and Journal of a Psychopath. I've really enjoyed writing those. I'm actually working on the third part of that.
Oh yes, I cannot.
We were wondering.
Yeah, are we gonna get more? We want more.
Yeah. There's I'm planning on 5 parts.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's absolutely epic. Of course, that guy's a little shit. He is, but I loved getting to read that. I really got into that. We've kind of talked about on the channel before. There are stories. I'll go through creepypasta maybe an hour to 30 minutes before a show, and I'll be skimming. I'm skimming the first 2 paragraphs of everything until I see something I like. And then I'm like, okay, we're going with that. So I have no idea how those stories are going to end. I don't know whether they're going to be like great or good, or I've had a few that have been like, I've thought about, but the ones that I've written the ones that I've read out that you wrote have just been absolutely killer. I've loved them, and I've loved getting to get into those characters and embellish a little bit on what you've written. It's been fun. It's been a blast. I have a blast doing it.
Hey, thanks so much, because I enjoy writing those, but what makes writing more enjoyable is when people enjoy reading what you wrote instead of just sitting in a notebook that eventually gets recycled or something. So I really appreciate that.
Heck yeah.
No, you should actually sleep good at night knowing that your work is really appreciated, especially in our crew here.
Oh yeah, I definitely do.
Do you get any rewards from creepypasta? Whether it be prestigious or financial or anything?
No, not at this time. The way I look at it is, maybe down the road I'd like to pursue doing it for money, but at the time it's a hobby that I enjoy, and they give me an avenue to share it with, kind of exposure, and that's plenty of award, like my first one, A Demon Named Frank, I didn't expect anything out of it, but to this day it holds a user rating of over 9, so I really can't.
Oh, is that your boy in the background?
That is, yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, so honestly, monetary, I don't even know if creepypasta really makes much money. It's really designed for letting independent authors put their work out there, and so yeah, I'd say it's great.
Well, we're grateful you did it for sure.
Pat S says you should sleep good at night because I don't after your stories. And also Saruno says, love your stories, Purple Valkyrie. Love Journal of a Psychopath.
Hey, thanks, man.
Dal, too. She's also a writer. So that's another one in the business, so to speak, who appreciates what you've done.
Awesome. Hey, thanks, Dal.
Yeah, she says, love your stories.
Love your stories. You on Reddit, Dal?
I don't know if she is or not. Dal, if you are on Reddit, let us know. You can send me a DM over Twitter and I can share it with him. And I don't know if it'll let you throw it in the link or not. Probably not. So if you want, Dal, just send it through Twitter and I can share it in private chat here on the panel.
Awesome. Yeah,
Purple Valkyrie, lots of sleepless nights from these fantastic stories.
I apologize, but at the same time, like
you should not. You should be feeling high because of your stories will resonate, and when they resonate, you've done good. My saying is if you can create, elevate, or manipulate an emotion in someone, regardless of the size of the audience, you've done well. And you have a good audience here that have all been creeped out.
That's what I'm talking about. Hey, something about the feeling of being creeped out. Like I guess that's why we all like horror, right? It's a kind of weird, nichey thing. We're all kind of nerds in that way. But
well, I think in some ways too, it makes you appreciate the good times. When you could delve into things that you really don't normally want to be in, or it's like the dark room that you don't want to open the door to, and yet when you go in, you're always surprised or what have you. Stories like yours do that to a certain degree, and then when you step back and away from it, it's like you may not sleep well, but it's kind of fun that you're able to do something new, go some place different. That's one of the things that writing, especially like yours, because I can't do what you do, it takes people's minds into places they've never been before. And I think even the worst of authors can sometimes or oftentimes do that to people, and it's all rewarding. Like I said, even bad writers, your mind gets taken to places you wouldn't have been otherwise. So it's good that you do it.
Hey, you know what? That's what I like about writing is, take yourself into a different world, kind of make it up as it goes. But sometimes it feels like, I don't know, like the story just kind of writes itself, and you just kind of go on that journey,
Yeah, I know that. I don't know if a lot of people do, but I do know that. Especially, well, you're talking about the diary. That guy probably you had, and I'm just assuming, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but when you wrote the first part, you had an idea in mind, and then his personality took over.
Exactly.
Right? Yep, that's what I figured.
So I had a character envisioned before I had the really story envisioned, I envisioned Rich, and started writing about Rich, and I didn't know what was going to happen when I started writing that story.
Well, there's something factual. I got a degree in psychology. I did chemical dependency counseling, but I also worked in prisons. And one of the things you learn is these types of people that do certain types of things always have this, I'm smarter than everyone else, and I'm never going to get caught. Yeah. I'm smarter than you. I'm going to run circles around you intellectually and make your head spin. And they do get caught. They can't get away. And I'm not saying that's what you need to do. I'm just saying that when I was reading that, I was like, he's got it. He's got the mentality, the mentality that this person would actually have, who is doing this, who is thinking this, the way he treats his foster parents, the way he treats people around him, the way he treats his enemies. He has nailed the way this person would actually think.
Oh yeah, thanks, man. I also studied psychology. I didn't actually end up finishing my degree. I took a huge curve on my career route halfway through college, but I was studying it, and that was one thing, abnormal psychology. I loved it, and one of the most intriguing things to me was psychopathy. So I did try to apply as much, real life to Rich as I could, for sure.
Well, yeah. It's glad to hear that, because if you hadn't, where you pulled that type of mentality out of thin air makes me worried if you had some skeletons buried someplace.
Hey, we all have skeletons.
Yeah, we all. I took a turn too. I had started to go to college when I was 22. I did a semester, and I wasn't going to do psychology. I was going to do drama, and I did drama, and it was not what I expected. I had done acting in junior high and in high school, but when I was filling out my class for that year, I had an open spot. And one of the advisors said, "Why don't you take a psychology class? They're usually really fun." And I was like, "Okay." And I took time off. I was in the middle of a career. I was thinking, well, I'm gonna have a family. I'm gonna be doing this. I might as well go back to school while I'm working. And I was working, I think like 50, 60 hours a week at the time. And I started taking a full class and a half. And it was one of the toughest things I ever had to get through. I think I got like 3 or 4 hours of sleep a night for years, and that was it. And but psychology took over. It was one of those things that I was like, you know what, I really want to do this. And chemical dependency counseling, I had a lot of people in my life that had addiction problems and things of that nature. So I was like, well, I might as well. I know this anyway. I know this stuff. I got out of this kind of lifestyle. It would be really cool if I did this. And it's never too late. If you really love psychology, it's never too late. You could always go back and learn more.
Hey, you know, I really enjoyed the learning of it, the science behind it, career aspects. I don't love, you know, my options. It seems like to get a decent career that I would enjoy out of that, it would require a doctorate, and I'm not that invested in school, you know.
Yeah.
The route I did shows that it's really working out for me. It's a great career, man.
What do you mind if I ask what you're doing?
Yeah. So I can't say too much. I'm in aviation.
Okay. Enough said.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That is awesome. It's awesome. That's one of those things that you're like, man, I love doing what I do. I completely understand that.
Yeah. I mean, it's awesome. It's a busy life, but you know, when you get satisfaction at work, you know.
There you go.
And Heiress of Chaos Horror is my favorite genre. She loves these shows. When you decided to do more, did you start out the Journal of a Psychopath knowing it was going to be multiple parts in the beginning, or did you just start writing a story and it evolved into that later?
No, the second, it definitely evolved into that. When I started writing that, I had the character in mind, and I started writing that story. And it wasn't until I was almost done that I thought we can continue with this. And so the goal for Journal of a Psychopath is to have, you know, kind of each part of his life. So the next part that I'm working on right now, part 3, it's going to be called Finding Adeline. And that's shortly after he finishes college. But
don't give us any spoilers.
Yeah, that no spoilers, but that's what it's called. But when I started, no, I didn't expect that to become a series. It wasn't. I invested so much into Rich, like making that character. There's just no way I could leave it at one story, you know.
It kind of haunts you, doesn't it?
Yeah, kind of.
Yep. Yeah, I know the feeling. It's actually a cool feeling.
Yeah.
But if it can come to life in your mind, it comes to life to everybody else, so long as you got a good voice, and you've got a great voice.
Hey, thanks. I really appreciate that, especially coming from you.
I'm just a hack.
Oh my God. Yeah. Dega's just a hack. Ladies and gentlemen,
okay. All right.
If you think Dega's just a hack, by all means, throw one in chat. If you don't, then yeah.
I know where all of you live. If you put a 2 in there, I'm going to give you some serious trouble. So, you've got a couple of other stories on here. How much does fame and fortune cost? How did that come about?
You know, that was just kind of an idea. You know, I like to read conspiracy theories. I'm not saying I buy into them all, but I read a conspiracy theory and I was like, hey, that's really dark. And so I decided it was just kind of itching at me. I'm like, I gotta write a story about, you know, somebody, like, you know, it's in the world that conspiracy theory is true. You know what I mean? So yeah.
I think the night we read that, I went into Mothers of Darkness, I think. And I don't know if you know anything about them, but they match up. They're elitists that they sell their souls to make sure that they stay elitist.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
some people say it's conspiracy, and I guess in some regards there are those stories out there that are. I try and get as close to factual, and if it's not fact, I'll say it's it's unproven, or it's out there. You can search it on your own, but there are a lot of truths to, and that's why it rang so true that night, because I was throwing out images, testimonials, different things of these people that have been involved in it, and your story came in going, that guy knows, he knows something.
Yeah, there's definitely, no one knows exactly what it is unless you've been there, but it definitely appears that there's some weird stuff going on there, but we can only speculate.
Right. Well, my speculation started I'm a retired doctor, and the people in the audience know this, but I'm sharing this with you just because it makes your story so much real to me. One of my patients, Secret Service, they're all around the United States, and they deal with counterfeiting. That's the main thing about Secret Service. Everyone thinks about presidential or vice presidential security, but their main thing is counterfeiting. And if one of them come to visit in the area, these guys get called up, or sometimes they get sent to Washington or around the world to do security. One of these guys in the area that I lived showed up, and I was taking care of him. And there's the doctor-patient confidentiality, so I cannot say who his name is, can't give too many details of it.
Of course.
But he started relaying things. I started getting things through my email, different stuff that my eyes were so opened to some of these things, exactly like what you were writing about. Granted, it isn't a hardcore Satan contract, but the principle behind it, where people are doing this for blackmail and different things, was verified right before my eyes. And he knew I can't share any of that stuff other than just, going roundabout ways to let people know exactly what this guy told me firsthand of what he had to close his eyes to or walk away from. So, yeah, well, you were, other than it being demonic in reality, which I never heard that, but it makes for a great story.
Yeah. Definitely fictionalized. Whether the devil does or does not exist, who knows?
No, but it does motivate people.
Oh, it does.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it does. So what about my DNA genealogist test shattered everything I thought I knew about my life?
That was just kind of an idea. I did one of those DNA genealogy tests once, and it was exactly what you'd think it was. But I was just thinking, like, what if, like, you got one of these and it was completely something else? And that's kind of where that story came from. Just that idea. And yeah.
Did you did it take long? How long does it usually take you to write one of these?
Oh, sometimes it goes really quick, sometimes not so much. The writing process is usually a lot quicker than editing, honestly. Because you have to go back and read everything a couple more times, and but that one actually went really quick. Sometimes I'm writing something, I have to just kind of put it on hold. The thoughts aren't coming right, the ideas aren't coming right. But that was one where it just, as soon as I started writing it, it flowed right. I still probably spent several hours on it. I don't know exactly how many, but in a couple nights I had that one pretty much wrapped up.
Anything you do for your writing process that you could talk to our chat about? Anything that, like, you use to prep or anything like that?
So one thing I do is this is true if I'm studying, doing homework, when I was back in college, or just I need to focus, I'll listen to instrumental music. The lyrics are distracting, but instrumental music. So I'll go on Spotify and just look up creepy instrumental music and just play that. And that kind of sets the tone. I like to be kind of alone too. Sometimes I'll go sit outside somewhere that feels kind of creepy. Just kind of get that mood. But a lot of times, honestly, it's kind of whimsical. Like when the idea is there, you just got to go with it. So I've been, sitting in an airport on my phone, like writing this on my phone, because the idea was there. You know what I mean? So I don't have a huge process. It really just depends. But I need a quiet place. Just away from distractions, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Adega, you were telling me almost the exact same thing, that you'll just pull out an iPad or your phone and just start wherever you're at.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's the same musical type thing. You got to stay away from the vocals. But I do sci-fi and fantasy, so I don't get into the creepy. Well, I do some of the creepy for the fantasy because, like I said, it gets pretty bloody and dark at times. But I go almost through the identical process. You get an idea, you got to be by yourself, you plug in. But if I really get stuck, I'll throw in Beethoven's, and I don't get stuck that often, but if I do, I get Beethoven's The Magic Flute. And for some reason, that sends everything into gear for me.
All right, I'll be putting that on my playlist.
Well, you'll hear him sing German, but other than that, and that's the nice thing about German is I'm not understanding any of the words. So it works out for me. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, it's got to match the mood, whatever. Music in general.
Well, I guess it's Mozart, not Beethoven. Mozart. Sorry.
Mozart. Okay.
The Magic Flute. Yep, that's my favorite of everything. But anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the music has to match the mood of not just riding, but if you go on a run or you go to the gym, you got to have that kind of music. If I'm trying to focus on something, it's got to be something to match what I'm trying to focus on.
I'm going to show you guys something real quick. You won't be able to hear any music or anything, but it's funny you guys are talking about this because this is how I start to make a intro. And what I will do is I will come down here to download, and there's a couple little video things and some it's importing media. Hold on. But this is all music. All of this, all that I'm scrolling through right here is music. And one of the music that a lot of people know from my channel is this track called Shocked. This is the definitive music. This is what you're getting on the recent outro. I've used it for a lot of my intros. But the way I start to build a intro is I will drag a piece of music down here into this, and I will start thinking, while I'm listening to this, I will start thinking of how I want it to go, how I want it to flow, what I want where. And I build that intro video or the outro video, whatever I'm working on, around this piece of music, whatever it may be. So it's almost the same thing you guys are talking about. We're creating while listening to music that doesn't have any words in it, because 99% of what I'll put in there, there's never any words to it. It might be some clapping or something, but you're building it around a song.
Music has a weird thing about hitting your brain where, especially like RM was saying, without the lyrics, there's a math to it, which causes your brain to start to think, but also the music itself, the tunes hit the creative aspect. So it's kind of like juice in your brain, just sends you right into the creativity mode for a lot of people. I know it obviously is for us, but.
Obviously.
Go ahead.
No, please.
Well, one of the songs I love to listen to, like to get myself in the right setting, is the theme song from American Horror Story, the Murder House theme song. Something about that song, just go give it a listen. Yes.
I will have to check it out. I one of the things I do, I love collecting vinyl, and people have heard all about that enough, but I love soundtracks. That's my thing. Yeah, I've got a couple of albums. I've got some AC/DC. I've got some other stuff, but I love soundtracks. And one of the reasons I love soundtracks, even old game soundtracks, I've got like Metal Gear Solid, I've got some Castlevania, I've got these different soundtracks that I love to listen to that while I'm working. It doesn't even have to be building a video. I could just be working. I could be networking. I could be doing whatever. And I've got that playing in the background because it just helps. It helps so much with what I'm doing. And it gives me something to listen to as I'm working.
All right. I have a question for you. We obviously are getting into your horror quite a bit, and we love what you've done. Are there anything outside of that genre that you've done, say poetry or something on the, I hate to say it, romantic side, or comedy or anything else that you've done?
So a little bit, nothing that I've actually put out there. I've kind of, as far as like the writing I've put, submitted to Creepypasta or Reddit, has definitely revolved around the horror / thriller type of genre. I've done poetry, kind of a little bit, but just on my own, kind of in notebooks type of thing.
Right.
Romance. I did do one romance story. Again, I never put it out on any social media or anything. And there is one short story I wrote kind of around Halloween, whimsical. It's called "Promise Me You'll Haunt Me," which is it's only 500 words because I was trying to put that on our short scary stories, which is 500 words or less, which is it's romance but centered around horror genre, if that makes sense.
Oh no, it makes complete sense.
Mega Metalorian says 8-bit game music for the win. Yes. That's just that. I love that. I love the old game music. I love old game music, movie soundtracks, everything like that. Is there anything, if someone wanted to start working on what you do, somebody was inspired by something you wrote and wanted to do what you do, is there any kind of advice you would give them?
Honestly, just go for it, because for years and years, yeah, I had it as a low-key hobby that I never really made much time for. When I was in school, I had more time for it, but it was nothing I ever put out there for other people to read. And I didn't realize that I'd get the kind of that people would enjoy it, I guess, is what I never really considered so much, if that makes sense. So honestly, just go for it. And throw it out there. Get on Reddit. There's a lot of good subreddits out there that I came across last year, and that's what kind of made me decide to put out there. Or Creepypasta. Just do it and put it out there. The worst case scenario is someone doesn't like it, and if that's the case, then who cares? You know what I mean?
Right.
Just get your work out there. Exactly.
Yeah. If you want to do it, just do it.
I'm right there with you. For the longest time, I never thought anybody would want to listen to me talk on a live stream or on a video, or who's going to listen to my opinion? I'm just me. And apparently I still don't
like listening to him, but he says nice things about me. So, oh man. All right, an invitation to you, because we would greatly appreciate it. If there is anything that you ever want to debut, feel free to either you read it or let Loki read it. If you want, you could debut it here even before it hits Creepypasta, because we're not kidding. We've enjoyed everything that we've read from you so far.
Hey, that's awesome. Yeah, especially when Journal of the Psychopath comes. Yeah, I'll definitely let you guys know. Even I'd love to jump on any live streams I have the availability for.
I would love to read your next chapter live with you on the show and for the panel. I would love that. I would absolutely love that.
And definitely have you read it. Reading a story and writing a story are two very different things. I tried narrating my own stories, and you tell me, maybe some you get past, but when I played back the sound of my own voice, and I was like, I suck at this.
You just gotta get over that. Because I still think that. I still think that. Who would want to listen to me in my voice? And apparently there are some people that do. You just got to get past that and have fun. That's the biggest thing if you weren't having fun, I always say this to everybody: if you aren't having fun with it, something's wrong. For me, this is the coolest thing I can do. This is the coolest job you could have. And if you aren't having fun with it, something is definitely wrong. If you're writing and you're hating it, something's wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But you know, I didn't. One thing I didn't expect is that, you know, people would reach out to me and say, "Hey, can I narrate the story?" And those people are typically a lot better at it than I am. So, like, yeah, I'll write them, you narrate them, and problem solved. Win for everybody.
Yes. Yes, I am going to give me just a second. Let me see if I can find the part that. Let's see.
See, I was like you, but when I started my YouTube, and it's not big, and I've never pushed for any type of following, and I still don't. I just, if people want to hear it, they can. But the first couple of books I did, I was really bad at it, and it took me a while. And finally, I got into my voice, and people said, "Yeah, it sounds really good." It just took time, and I'm sure it'd be the same with you. You just do it over and over and over and over again. Listen to yourself. Say, "Oh, you know what? I screwed up this here, did that there." Edit, and it comes. Eventually, it comes.
So I'm going to read a small excerpt from Journal of Psychopath High School really quick.
Awesome.
And this is towards the end. So I waited in the shadows for Brian to arrive. And about 12:05 a.m., I heard the footsteps approaching. "What do you want, Jake?" Brian started as he entered the small clearing. "We have school tomorrow." Before he could finish, I hit him hard in the face with a rock. Jake's signature move. Brian fell to the ground, putting his hands on his face, and if that would somehow dull the pain, I didn't care. I kicked him in his head and in his gut over and over. I watched with pleasure as he rolled around in agony, betrayed and incapacitated. "What the hell, Jake?" "Oh, I'm not Jake," I told him coldly. Brian squinted up at the sound of my voice, shocked. He stammered a few disconnected words, trying to catch his breath through the pain. I knelt beside him. What do you want?" Brian finally managed to muster between heavy breaths. "Revenge." Looking Brian straight in the eye, I plunged Jake knife straight into Brian's torso, stabbing right into the liver. I was rewarded with an agonizing groan from Brian. "And to get rid of Jake." Another stab, and this time off to the side, making sure I got his kidney. "It's really not about you." Another stab and another moan. "You're just on the wrong side of this war, and a convenient means to an end." Drawing in the delectable thrill of the moment, I thrust the knife deeper and listened to Brian's agonizing moans and shortening breath. I stared into his eyes so I could see the look on his face as he realized he was about to die. "And you really, truly shouldn't have kicked me." I gave him another hard stab. This one I placed just under his left pectoral. The blade slid right between his ribs, piercing his heart. I pulled out the knife as blood sputtered out of the wound like a fountain. I sat back to admire my handiwork. Brian's breaths gurgled and rasped in the silent woods. I realized the attack looked way too clean. Everything was too precise. I needed this to look like a stupid brute had lost his temper. I gave him a dozen or so more widely placed stab wounds, ranging in depth. That looked better. In less than a minute, the groans and breathing had stopped. Jake lay there, or his body did at least, covered in blood. I dragged Brian's body and hid it in some thick brush where I covered him in branches and leaves. I took my time to make sure that it looked sloppy and hasty. I hid the knife about 100 feet away, knowing full well that the police would scour the area and find it. I took off the hoodie, sweatpants, and shoes and deposited them in a park garbage bin that was just a yard off the woodline, about a half a mile away from the scene. I had the worn long layers underneath Jake's clothes and made care to never touch his clothes with my skin. I even wore a swimming cap to make sure my hair didn't get anywhere. The only evidence left that could tie me to the crime was the pair of latex gloves that I had worn to avoid getting fingerprints on the knife or blood under my fingernails. And that is an excerpt from Journal of Psychopath. Guys, that story is in the description right now. I am going to, if you will give me just a second, I am going to get back to the main page where all of these stories, all 4 of these stories can be found. There is more than just these 4, which we did not know. There it is in the link in chat. Thank you so very much, guys. You guys are great. It has been an absolute pleasure having you on here, R.M. Staniforth, and I cannot wait to read your next story.
Awesome. Hey, thanks so much for having me. This is a lot of fun, actually. So I really do appreciate it.
Oh, it's been great. Seriously.
Yes, we have appreciated having you on here. I can't wait till we get to have you on here again. I can't wait for your next story. Guys, we will be back next week with facts from Adega Outlaw and a story from me. We have got a show coming up tomorrow. We've got Purple Valkyrie doing her show at 10 p.m. tomorrow. We also have a movie watch party this Saturday. We are going to be watching 300. And on that live stream, we are going to have the announcement of what we're going to be doing next month and a little clip of a preview from what we are going to be watching next month on the watch party. If you want to be a part of those watch parties, reach out to me and we will try and get you on if we have room. Everyone take care. Have a great night. Thank you, Adega. Thank you, Mr. Staniforth. And we will catch you all later.
Night all.
Hey, yep. Thanks, everybody.
These videos are tremendous. Like, comment,